All right, we're live. How's it going today, John? How you doing, my man?
Going good, going good. Been a long, busy day. Definitely didn't play any Red Dead Redemption 2.
So John is bringing it up because when he first hopped on, I did like this Arthur Morgan-esque cowboy voice, and he mentioned that he didn't like Red Dead Redemption 2, and he's a big fan of Red Dead Redemption 1, but Red Dead 2, he's like it was just they did too much, man. Like you have to there's all like this intricate detail they put into it, and it's kind of a joke I made. Now I love Red Dead 2 and Red Dead 1, but Red Dead 2 does some great propaganda for how tedious of a life being a cowboy would be. Like, it makes you think it'd be really fun. Actually, no, it'd be pretty fucking boring most of the time with all the shit that you're doing. So you gotta keep that in mind.
It's like they took everything. It's like, let's take the power fantasy of being a cowboy from Red Dead 1, get rid of it, and only add things which are tedious. Like I'm being overly critical. I know it's like a good game in many ways. It just went in the exact opposite direction I would have wanted it to go in.
No, it does make sense because like Red Dead 1 is fantastic, but to me, Red Dead 1 is like it's like a proof of concept for Red Dead 2. It's kind of what it looks like. I mean, not at the time. At the time, it was revolutionary, but like I would love to see a remake of Red Dead 1 that was like with the mechanics of Red Dead 2, which is probably your worst fucking nightmare. You're like, no, leave this alone. Don't mess up this game.
I don't even mind the mechanics so much as I mind the lack of free. Like the first one, it felt like I was free to do whatever the fuck I wanted, and the second one, it felt like it was tedium without like I couldn't pick up and sell the guns that I wanted and like make a bunch of money as an outlaw. I had to make money in the way the game wanted me to make money, which was Red Dead 1 because it was just like a fucking. I connected with the character instantly, and it was much more of like an arcadey like cowboy power fantasy. Whereas in the second one, it strips the power fantasy by making you actually live out the tedious life of a cowboy. But I hope our audience understands our goal for this entire channel and our entire content creation careers is actually just talk about nerd shit. The politics is just what people like us talking about.
Yeah,
we really enjoy talking about the nerd shit.
You know how it's kind of like how TV shows are just venues for commercials, like that they exist for the only reason the show exists is for the commercials, and so that's kind of what politics is to us. It's a way to talk about fucking nerd shit. And speaking of nerds, I see that Matt Powell, who the fuck is this guy? He comments before the show starts. He always does this, and he wrote, "If your elitist East Coast evolution is real, why has no one found the missing link between modern humans and ancient apes?"
We're going with an evolution thing here. I did not expect to have an evolution.
Well, I remember him from last time or a couple shows ago. Remember he asked, "Can a dog turn into a horse?" It's the same dude. I recognize his name. True. And I don't like. What year is this, man? Like, this is I thought we were done with this evolution debate. This is a very like 2008 debate or something. Like we buried this shit a long time ago. And here's the thing, Matt, or anyone else who still believes in, creationism, or I guess you can still believe in creation and believe in evolution. They're not mutually exclusive. But the young earth creationists who believe that God created the world in 7 days and every animal exists the same way they did 6,000 years ago. Look, we don't need the fossil record to prove evolution. We don't. There are many different ways to demonstrate that evolution is real. The best is just your DNA. That's the best way to prove this. In that, I would ask Matt, how do we know that you came from your parents? How do we know that? Like, did someone record them fucking and then record them for the next 10 months until you were born, and that's how we know what happened? No, that's not how we prove it. We prove it the same way we prove anything else. We can check your DNA. We can check to see that your DNA matches as the species. So not only are you the same species, you are actually their biological descendants. We also do this to prove that dogs came from wolves. Like, we know that. Like, we can prove dogs and wolves related.
Without a doubt that dogs came from wolves. Like, it's one of the most clear and obvious things that I go with evolution. I'm just like, so like, these things are clearly like, we know this happened. We can track it. Why wouldn't this have happened for us?
Exactly. And let's say you appeared, because that can get you though. That can get you because like dingoes look like dogs, but they're not related. And like hyenas look like dogs, and they're actually closer related to cats.
We have the track record. Like we have the fossil record for dogs very clear.
Oh yeah. Well, but I was about with morphology. Like, let's say you were a space alien and you landed on Earth, and you'd be like, okay, so we got a beagle here. It looks kind of similar to a wolf, but how do I know it's actually related? You could check its DNA, and then you can see how similar the DNA is. Like, okay, this creature shares a close common ancestor with the wolf. We can do that with us and apes, with us and monkeys, us and chimps, and gibbons and baboon. Like, it's the same science. So if you accept that dogs and wolves are related, you also have to accept that humans and apes are related. Like it's literally like 8th grade science. I can't believe we're still arguing about this shit. Matt Powell.
We're not. I actually just looked up Matt Powell. He actually has a decent, like he has like 16,000 subs. So he's a creator. Matt, you wanna create something about us? Go ahead. I'll start a YouTube video war with you.
It's just like I don't get it, man. I don't understand. I hope it's like 16,000 people just like hate watching and just like goofing on this clown.
It's 16,000 people who he comments on their lives before going, and they all subscribe to him.
I like that. I like that theory. I like that theory a lot. So, John, I don't know if you saw what I titled today's episode. I don't know if you got a chance to check this.
Oh no, I did. I saw the like 5 minutes ago. I saw the title, and I'm interested. I kind of looked real quickly. I didn't see anything. So I'm interested to know what this is about.
All right. So I titled it Trump is desperate to protect the Epstein files. And this is from a Fox News interview from a few days ago. So they're asking Trump about conspiracies. And so he says, they say, well, you don't want to be a conspiracy guy, right? And they asked him if he's going to release all these top secret files that the government has. And like let's just see what old Trump has to say here.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. So if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the other.
I know you
All right. That's weird. That's pretty weird, I think. I think that is if someone asks him, hey, quell the whole conspiracy theory stuff. You're going to release 9/11? Yep. Release JFK? Yep. Release Epstein? Well, some of it. Some of it might be bullshit to protect certain folks. I'm not going to say who, but that's kind of odd by old Trump there, not to go all in on the Epstein thing.
No, yeah, and like I hate people who go all in on the Epstein thing. It's kind of like what's it like how the American flag has become a conservative symbol, and you can't like have American flag attire else people are going to think you're a Republican. It's kind of like that where it's like, the Epstein thing is fucked up and stuff, but I feel like if I talk too much about it, people are just going to assume I'm a crazy person. But like he's lying for the other answers. He's not going to declassify some fucking conspiracy that he was president for 4 years and he didn't do it. He's clearly lying, which is like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll declassify. He's not like it's a clear lie, but he caught him. He was just like, oh wait, I can't lie about that. That's weird. The one thing you can't lie about is going after pedophiles. Like I feel like that's an easy one. I would have lied my ass off in that answer. Even if I was totally complicit in this, I would have just lied. I don't even understand why you wouldn't do that.
I think you nailed it. Is that I think he just got in the stream of consciousness. Then he comes, well, hold on, wait a minute. My name is in there, which it is, by the way. If you read Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book, his name's in there. I think his name is in there. I think Melania and Ivanka and maybe Don Jr. I think there's several Trump members in Epstein's black book that he had everyone's contact information on. So it's just he's like, oh yeah, 9/11, JFK, Epstein, sure. Well, maybe. I think he just like self-preservation just kind of kicked in there because of what he said. Because I wanted to know why. It's like, wait a minute, why would you be hesitant to release Epstein stuff? And his answer was very interesting, where he said, well, a lot of that stuff is bullshit. I mean, and a lot of the stuff in there, it's not real at all. Which is a very, very weird thing to say for a case of this magnitude. Like, what is not real? Like, how would you know? Like, I'm curious. I guess where do you get this inside info and it just stacks up because he was friends with Epstein years ago. There's plenty of pictures of them partying. And he also knew what Epstein was up to because of, I don't know if you heard the interview that he gave on Howard Stern, where Trump says that, well, Jeffrey, he loves to party and he loves the ladies and kind of likes them on the younger side. Do you remember when he said that? Yeah, yep. Which kind of like, we know what that means. Now, look, in retrospect, that can only mean one thing. And
first of all, it's not in retrospect, TJ. Anyone who ever describes someone as a guy who likes their women on the younger side, they're a fucking
yeah, like, good point. Good point.
That's just like the natural default state. Like you assume that men, if we're talking about women in like their 20s, you assume that your average man would have a preference for a younger woman. Not saying that's right or anything, but that's just the assumption. If you have to specify just how young they like their girls, it's a euphemism for if they're either turning 18 when they're hitting on them or they were hitting on them already. Like there's no other interpretation of that sentence.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I never heard it. I didn't know that he said that. So by looking at it, okay, wow, I see what he meant when he said that. And what Trump supporters would like to tell you is that, well, you can't really blame Trump or loop him in on this because Trump found out that Epstein was like a sex fiend and he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago in like 2006. It was like, did he tell the cops? Did he? Because Epstein was free for many years after that. Like if Trump
was more damning. It's more damning if he found out and just kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't help your case at all. And also when Ghislaine Maxwell was in prison, Trump is saying the nicest things about her he possibly can. Almost as if she has info on him. Once again, I'm just asking questions. Just asking questions, folks. I don't know one way or the other, but it just seems kind of weird to me that Trump is awful acquiescent and appeasing to the Epstein family.
And we've talked about this on the show before, how like there's no way that there isn't some conspiracy around Epstein. Like a lot of conspiracy theories are bullshit, but Epstein didn't kill himself is so clear and obvious. Like it's so obvious. I very much funded. Like if you put a gun to my head, what do you believe about this? He's a government asset. Like I 100% believe, or he's someone's asset that was being protected for that long. Because like, how else do you pull off that scale of sex trafficking with that many people involved without someone big protecting you? And government asset makes the most sense, and would also explain some behaviors of the world's powerful people that would defy logic. So like it's a little Occam's razor. Am I sure of that? No, I have no fucking clue. But it makes the most sense. You know what I mean? That there isn't an actual realistic explanation for everything that has happened surrounding that. I don't know why the lists aren't released, just made public. Like I have no understanding as to why. No one even gives an explanation. Everyone just accepts it as something we'll never know.
Yeah, shit. There was a guy in the government who actually said Epstein was an intelligence.
Yeah.
And I was trying to pull up an article on it. It was Washington Times article, and then a paywall popped up. I fucking hate this. I hate this so much. I hate that. Whenever you try to like read a New York Times article or a Boston Globe or San Francisco Chronicle, you get, we got 2 articles this year. You got to pay up now. And then who doesn't do that shit? The Daily Wire or Town Hall or Daily Caller, like all these conservative rags. We will just shove your inbox full of our nonsense. But any real news, it's awful. I hate this place.
That's because the more free something is, the more you're the product. And that is very much the case for the conservatives. And, is to an extent the case for a lot of the liberal rags too, but whatever. Ben says that he hates the pedophilic elite, though most pedos, even the elites, knew the kids. And I do just have to say, like, I feel like people talk about like the elites and pedophilia. Like, I don't think that pedophilia is any more prevalent among the elites as it is amongst the rest of the population. In fact, I would speculate that it's less prevalent because it's a lot harder to hide.
I don't know about that. So that's interesting because like the abuse of children, people get this idea that child abuse is like what you see in the movies or in Unsolved Mysteries, where there's someone hiding behind a bush and jumping out to kidnap your kid. That's not usually how it happens. It usually happens to people you know. Yeah. It's usually
by people the kid knows. Yeah,
exactly. It's family members and close friends. So in that sense, yeah, like it is pretty prevalent among society and everything. Now with the elites, though, I think it's probably more prevalent in that they can hide it better, or hide it with strangers and stuff, like the Catholic Church, for example. But then again, that still falls in the people you kind of know, and I would consider the Catholic Church an elite organization and stuff like that.
I would consider the Catholic Church an elite organization. Like the Pope is an elite, but Father Costa down the street isn't like an elite. Like he's a normal person. I think that the thing with and I've done a lot of work with child abuse and done a lot of just research into this. So like people underestimate the amount that it actually goes on. Like by a large degree. And I struggle to believe that the people who have the most cameras on them, who have the most, the least places to hide this sort of thing are the ones doing it the most. Like genuinely, like if you look at the Catholic Church scandal, the reason it worked is because even the like parents of victims were not going to come out against the church because they wouldn't be believed. But like in today's environment, if like you're gonna believe that fucking anyone associated with Epstein who has a credible accusation against them, the public is going to believe it if someone comes out. Now, I guess like the thing is they can use force to hide it, but I don't know how much that's going on. I don't know how much force they actually have to employ.
I think we do, because the fact that Epstein was providing this ring, and we don't know the names of these people. I mean, like we know like Prince Andrew, he's like guaranteed to have done it. And that's just like, we only know a couple of these names. We know like Prince Andrew and Kevin Spacey, but we have all this data of Epstein meeting with these people and handling their finances. And he has no training in this whatsoever. Why is he doing this? And why are they going to design? So I think that the elite child abuse stuff doesn't fall like under the same graph as like the normal child abuse.
It's not the same methodology.
Exactly. They're not doing it the way that regular people do it, where they target children in their immediate vicinity. They can like go to private islands and have like these bacchanalias in the middle of the woods. That stuff they do. Absolutely.
The point I am making is not that the elites do it less than people think. It's that common people do it more than people think. They do it just as much as
that's true. That's 100% true. 100% true. All right. So I found the article here. Former National Security Agency counter spy John Schindler says that he is connected with intelligence dots regarding the late convicted sex offender Epstein and linked him to an Israeli influence operation. Epstein and his operation to fly powerful figures to his private island for sex with underage women. I hate the phrase underage women. That's not.
That's a really dumb phrase.
It's not a woman.
That's
it's underage.
Disgusting to write.
It is. Yeah. Received fresh public attention recently with the release of court papers revealing the names of many of those who traveled to Lolita Island. Schindler, who was called the CIA director William J. Burns to be fired after it was disclosed Burns once sought career advice from Epstein, said in a long report to his top secret Umbra blog, it's called Umbra, that's funny, this week, that Epstein appears to have been part of a shadowy Israeli influence. I didn't know it was an Israeli tide. Oh my God. Epstein was a wealthy mogul when he was arrested in 2019 on sex trafficking charges. He died a month later under mysterious circumstances. Ain't that right, brother? The recently released court documents included the names of rich and powerful traveling to the Epstein Island: Clinton, Prince Andrew, Ehud Barak, Alan Dershowitz. That's right, I forgot about Alan Dershowitz. These people aren't in jail, by the way. None of these folks. Sexual escapades aside, Schindler said that the real question about Epstein's focus on where he obtained his wealth and whether he was secretly working for a foreign power. Epstein was a college dropout who became a financial guru with just one known client, billionaire Les Wexner, the Bath & Body Works chain founder, was named in the court papers. Okay, so you get the idea here. I think he founded Victoria's Secret too. But yeah, weird stuff with
the guy who founded Victoria's Secret. that actually doesn't surprise me at all.
I am like 80% sure that he did Victoria's Secret too. Let me find out.
Wexler.
Yeah, Les.
So the thing, keep looking that up. I'm just seeing Bath and Body Works on a quick Google search.
Oh, okay.
Wrong. But the thing with I completely lost it.
It's about Israeli asset and Epstein and I can't remember what I was saying. I'll pull it back up here.
Oh, okay. I got it. I had to go back there. But the thing is, like, we're talking about how, we know that these people were on this plane, right? And you were talking about how the methodology is different. And the methodology is different. But the methodology for stopping this sort of thing is exactly the fucking same. Because we know that these people visited this island. And we know that anyone who was even closely like understanding of what sex abuse is, how these things happen, like anyone who has the basic level of responsibility of having ever taken care of a child should know this sort of thing. That if you see what was going on Epstein's Island, enough questions should be raised that you never associate with that place, that man, ever again, with the sole exception of if you're trying to find more evidence to put him in prison for the rest of his life. That's the only reason you should ever associate with him multiple times, because the first time you went should have probably been obvious to you what was going on. But we give these people the benefit of the doubt that, like, oh, you don't know. I'm afraid to accuse them of potentially any misdoing because the topic is so sensitive. And so we're just going to kind of leave this alone. We're going to put it under the rug here, and we're not going to talk about it. And that is the same exact fucking thing that happens in every family, in every church, in every school, in every place where child sex abuse is happening. That is how it is enabled, by people just, I don't want to touch the subject. I'm not going to speculate too much into it because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, because these are very strong accusations. And the way we get past this is by fucking talking about it. The way we get past it is being like, yo, Bill, how'd you not see this going on? How'd you not, did you not pick up on these things? Do you not know X, Y, and Z? And like, you have these conversations, and that's how you stop it. Because if we actually held everyone to the standard who went to that island of everyone should always be on the lookout, should be a mandated reporter. I think everyone should be a mandated reporter. I think every American citizen should be a mandated reporter. And I do not understand why that is not the case. I think every American should receive mandated reporter training as a senior in high school and become a mandated reporter for the rest of their lives. I do not understand why that isn't the case. I don't understand what the drawback to it is. It seems like it would save thousands and thousands of children from becoming sex trafficked and sexually abused, and we just don't do it. And I've never even heard an argument as to why we don't, other than, oh well, we can't. I guess there's like some libertarian argument made against it, but like other than that, I don't see a realistic argument for why we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, no surprise. They would make that argument. That's kind of knowing them. Probably. Ben says probably just some of them. They can just engage in their evil tendencies more. Oh, we're talking about the elites engaging their tendencies. I think Ben's talking about. And Mark says Wexner started Victoria's Secret and Abercrombie and Finch. Oh, okay, all right, Abercrombie and Finch. Yeah, look at that.
Thank you, Mark.
John, do you remember back in the? I don't know if you remember this, but this may have been the early 2000s. Might have been too long ago. But Abercrombie and Fitch used to put like shirtless guys outside of their stores. Do you remember that back in the day?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that was the thing. I should.
I've never been a any sort of fashion knowledgeable person. So as you can tell by my plain white t-shirt.
Well, you wouldn't need to be, because like when you went to a regular mall, you just walked into a mall and you walked by an Abercrombie and Fitch, they would have models standing in front of the stores. And I remember they had shirtless guys in front of the stores all the time. They had them there all the time. That was just kind of their thing.
I remember like posters that were like very fucking sexually suggestive.
Yes, yeah.
But I don't remember actual models outside the stores.
Yeah, well, they stopped that. I along with the sexually suggestive posters and everything. It was weirding people out because they were like targeting teenagers and stuff. And it was just very, very odd. Ben says we should probably say wealthy elite. I was going to bring that up. Ben says we should probably say wealthy elite could mean Jews if used by conservatives and fascists. That's 100% correct. Is that I didn't know this for the longest time, but elites is right-wing anti-Semitic slang for Jews a lot of time. I didn't know that until well into adulthood, but yes, it is used that way a lot. So that's a good point. And Ben also says, what shirtless guys? You missed them, Ben. It's too late. It's not up. It's bygone era. They don't have them there anymore. I'm sorry.
I'm sure it's all over the internet, Ben.
Yeah, that's right.
Make sure not to be logged into your mom's account, and then you can look up the shirtless guys.
That's good stuff. Oh, that's good stuff. All right. So, what you see anything on the news lately, John? Like trivial stuff that you want to discuss to keep it away from the show?
Trivial stuff. I feel like there's a lot of trivial stuff. I saw that we've hit the 12th straight month of the highest month ever recorded in terms of air temperatures in the world.
Oh, there's been highest month ever recorded.
Oh, no. I mean, maybe for me personally, but I don't know for the human race. But that was I saw okay. So like the big like thing on Twitter for me today was I don't even remember what it was called. It was like a youth progressive group that apparently like helped work with Biden to shape a lot of his early climate policy that refused to endorse
Sunrise
him.
Movement?
Sunrise Movement. That's it. And like that was like all over Twitter today with people being like, oh, well, they're dumbass fucking progressives. They don't know how to win elections. And I'm like, this isn't about like voting. Yeah. Like it's about an endorsement. And if it's a climate policy advocacy group, Biden has objectively not done enough to combat climate change. Like this isn't like an opinion. This is not like, oh, well, we think he should be doing a better job on immigration. Like at least that's like a fucking opinion, but this is fucking science. And climate scientists are in near universal agreement that Biden has not done enough to adequately combat climate change. So why would an organization focused on combating climate change endorse a president who failed the one task that they had? And like people were like, oh, well, they even said he was the best president ever on climate. And it's like, yeah, but you're assuming that any president has ever done a good enough job and been worthy of an endorsement, which isn't true. Clearly, we know we have fucked up every single president up to this point on climate change. We just had 12 straight months of the highest temperatures ever. Things are going to start to get really bad really soon. And people aren't ready for it. And all of these fucking people who are like supporting everyone who is not combating climate change right now, in about 20 years, they're going to look just about as bad as the people supporting Israel, let me tell you.
Well, the climate thing, and we talked about before, is that the problem with the climate thing is that it's kind of like evolution in a lot of ways. Is that it forces you to take such a grand, like bird's eye view of all of this stuff that people just won't do it. And it's actually kind of difficult for people to do because how many, I brought this up on the show a long time ago, is how many times have we heard this news story right here? Climate scientists say that if we don't reverse course, global warming, catastrophic change will be inevitable. I've heard this every year for the past 15 years. And so if you say that 15 years ago, that, hey, if we don't change course this year, climate change is going to be catastrophic, and the next year passes and things are still kind of the same, people get numb to it real quick. And they spent the last decade, 2 decades getting numb to this shit. And now that we're in this scenario where, it gets warmer every year and winters are really strange. We've commented before on how winters are not just cold anymore. Now they're unseasonably warm and then peppered with giant ice/snowstorms every couple months. And the cycle's being all weird and everything. But, the real damage is going to come decades from now, and it won't really hit us quite as badly as it'll hit, areas that are a lot more have a lot more precarity when it comes to arable land or floods, and the global south is going to be destroyed by it. Most Americans are going to be uncomfortable, but they'll be fine. So it's hard to get traction with this shit, and I hate that it is this way, but it's a fight we're losing, and I just don't see how we win. I really don't. I wish I had better news, but I just don't have it.
So I have a little bit of a middle ground opinion, or a middle ground opinion among reasonable people when it comes to climate change, because I very much think we have cooked ourselves. We like you said, that literally the change is inevitable at this point. The climate scientists are right, and we are starting to see the real effects of it. And that's the thing. Like, I'm gonna back up here. I'm gonna reverse course, and we'll get back to what I was just saying. First of all, what you're talking about is near miss bias. And it's a really interesting human phenomenon. If you ever look at studies of London during World War II, it'll talk about how people, the first bombing raid, everyone was terrified. The second bombing raid, when those sirens went off, even more terrified because people knew what was coming next. After that, each time kids would continue playing in the streets as the sirens were going off after the third time. And it's because every time that you hear something bad is happening, but it doesn't happen to you, you feel invincible. You feel strong. You feel like it can't happen to you because you already survived it. And it is just an innate human bias. And that's exactly what has gotten us here. The thing that blows my mind is that I'm 27 years old. I was born into a world that talked about climate change. And I very quickly, in my teenage years, felt a noticeable difference in the climate from when I was a kid, even more of a kid, And so it's I get that near miss fallacy. It definitely fucking happens, but how did everyone not notice this? I felt it. I noticed it. How did everyone not notice this? Because it is having a tangible impact, and it's starting to get really bad now. And that's just weird. But the thing is, if you see the technology progress when it comes to climate, fighting technology, we're actually getting a lot better. The US CO2 emissions are going way down. I do actually fundamentally believe that if we do nothing more than we currently are and just letting the march of technology progress, we're going to be fine as a species. The human race will survive. We'll get past it. Millions of people are probably going to die, and we're not going to have chocolate and coffee anymore, but we'll survive. We'll figure it out. I'm not a doomer, but we're cooked. It's already happened. We're it's already coming. There's nothing we can do about it. We could have prevented millions of deaths. We didn't, and we chose not to, knowing that it was coming. And it's really sad. And people who talk about Biden oh, he did the most ever, and it's well, fuck you, because he still didn't do enough. And I know that in every other area of politics, you can say that and be oh, it has to be relative to what your opponent is doing. With immigration policy, there's a certain level of relativity when it comes to what you can implement. When it comes to climate change, there is no relativity. The climate is not going to grade us on a curve. Just as many people are going to die, no matter how far away the opposition is from our climate position. And that's the case. And anyone who has the power to make that change and chooses not to is sacrificing millions of lives. Millions of potentially, like if you look on like a long-term enough scale, billions of lives, because all those kids aren't going to have kids, and it's really sad, and it really should piss off people more than it does. And I know it pisses off people a lot, but it should be more.
I like that you said that I'm not a doomer, but millions of people are going to die. That was funny.
That's not doom. That's not doom. That's
I know you're saying
that's the cost of doing business. Doom to me is it's over. Doom to me is asteroids coming towards Earth and we can't stop.
Yeah, it is. It is just so what you're talking about, people not noticing it. I think what it is back in the day, like a long time back, people would just deny climate change. No, this is nonsense. This is just, the liberal media trying to raise taxes for reasons. And then over time, people have accepted it. Like, okay, like most people have like, okay, the climate is changing, but climate has changed before. Earth has not always had this particular ecosystem. And if you look back 100,000 years ago, of course, they're, ignoring the fact that these slow, gradual change over thousands or millions of years has happened in like 150 years, which should be alarming. And they're just saying, well, it's happening, but there's nothing we can do about it. That climate change is not anthropogenic, it's a
phenomenon.
Yeah, the sun is just closer to us now or something.
Which I just have to say, TJ, is the dumbest argument I've ever heard. Because, like, if you told me, hey, your dad is going to die and there's nothing you can do about it, you know what? I'd still fucking try.
Right, exactly.
I'd still fucking try and do something about it. Like, it's my kid's going to die. I don't have a kid. I imagine if I had a kid, I'd be even more motivated to do something about it. And so you're just going to tell me, well, nothing we can do. We're not even going to fucking try. Get the fuck out of here. That's a dumb argument.
It's the only thing they can do because they've been taught since they learned how to read that any government intervention into industry or business or finance or natural resources is evil. Like this is actually the end of the world. So they can't even entertain the idea of
like
no. That's what they say. I mean,
that's what they say, but that's not what they believe.
Yeah.
Like that's not what they actually think. That's not their thought process. Like they know that's bullshit. Right? Because they support government intervention in business all the fucking time. It just has to be the right kind of intervention for them. When they say that, they know they're lying, right?
The government stopping a capitalist from making money was really what it gets in the way of. Yeah, that's kind of
from the politician's perspective, that is the truth. But from the normal conservatives' perspective, they know that's not actually what they believe. I have to. I
don't know because they really
know that.
They really don't believe that climatologists and they know what they're talking about. They think that you've heard them say this, that they just want all that sweet grant money from the universities. They'll say whatever they need to say to make, those $60,000 paychecks at those college campuses. Like they're doing this out of greed, not the oil companies, the energy companies. They're not doing it out of greed. It's just the scientists that are doing it. Yeah. So they just dismiss it. I know it's contradictory. It doesn't make any sense, but it is the thing.
In their heart of hearts. Like first of all, my favorite response to that is always to say, well, maybe they are, but I also know that the insurance companies are also always controlled by greed, and they seem to be raising insurance prices on all the coastlines. And there's probably a reason for that, and that we should believe them because they're also motivated by greed. They don't even hide it, and that's what they're doing. So, what are you going to do? But go ahead.
Oh, I always point back to, if you look at what the scientists who worked for the energy companies back in the 70s, they said it too. Mm-hmm. Like they knew what was happening and they decided to hide it. So yeah, that doesn't work either. Like, if you have two people with two conflicting interests coming to the same conclusion, it's probably a correct conclusion. It's probably a correct one. Just throwing that out there.
Exactly. And the other thing I was going to say, maybe I'm giving people too much credit, but I know that when I say something that I know is bullshit, I might not know it at the time. Like when I'm, in a fight with my girlfriend and I say something which is said in a fit of anger. I look back and I'm like, that was a dumb explanation for the dumb thing I did. I was just making excuses for myself. I can recognize that. It was completely contradictory. Like I was wrong. Maybe people don't do that. Maybe people don't like think about the things that they've said and see if they make sense after they said them. Maybe I'm giving people too much credit, but I feel like in this case, I don't think the actual average conservative actually, maybe back in the 2000s, I don't fucking know. But like nowadays, I feel like your average conservative wants government intervention. They want the government to make Disney stop making fucking, I don't know, gay Hispanic kids the fucking protagonists of their movies. Like they want that. I really do think they want that.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. And I think that they understand that they want that. And so as soon as you think they understand they want that, I just feel like the next natural logical step is they must understand it's bullshit when they make the stupid libertarian arguments of like, can't have the government interfere in business. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, but they've been doing this forever. Like, this has always been the conservative position that the government intervention is good when I want to stop black folk from eating at my diner. Government intervention is good when I want to stop, a gay actor to be on television, but it's bad when they want to stop me from selling, lead in gasoline. It's always been this way. They've always had this contradictory view on when government intervention is good or bad. It's just whether it benefits them or not. And they can't admit, because if they said, well, all right, we're going to say it's all right for the government to intervene here, then that sounds a lot like socialism, doesn't it? And we can't have that. That is the ultimate evil on planet Earth. And so they're never going to capitulate there. So yeah, it doesn't have to make sense. It's just kind of what they say.
So TJ, I'm going to Iron Man something here because I saw a flaw in what you're saying.
Sure.
You have said many times that, I don't know, a protest, you're going to, be more lenient towards a protest for something that is a good cause than for something that is a bad cause. And so how is that different from that worldview that you just described?
Well, my point is that protest isn't inherently good or bad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's true. That's a fair distinction. Yeah, they say government interference is inherently bad. And it's inherently bad, right? Say it's bullshit. You're saying it's neither good or bad. It isn't.
It just is. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
I wanted to point this out. Something we mentioned a little bit ago. I'll get to the comments. Is you were talking about when politicians say, well, hey, Biden's done more for the climate than anybody else and everything, and how it's like, that's great and all, that doesn't help the people who are going to die because of it. Did you see this chart Hillary Clinton shared?
Uncle Jimmy beat me less than the rest of the fucking uncles.
Exactly. Yeah. When Hillary Clinton shared, like, this is why it's important to elect Biden. And she shared this chart here, and it shows. So we zoom in on this here.
Oh yeah, no, this was the dumbest tweet of all time.
Did you see that?
Oh my fucking god, it's so funny. Like her full chest, she's like, this chart is good for Biden. It makes him.
Just like.
And TJ, you want to know what the funniest part of this is, TJ?
Oh, I know.
That target, because trust me, I did way more research in this than I ever wanted to. That target is not the target that is set by the climate
I didn't know that
community. That is the target set by Joe Biden during his campaign.
I didn't know that.
That is not this is what we need to do in order to avert catastrophe. That is just what Biden promised.
I didn't know that.
To be fair to this chart, I also think it's slightly misleading because, for example, you see how that dotted line, Biden suddenly gets a lot more horizontal afterwards because that is the projected impact of climate policies that are currently in place, which tend to end at 2030, but they can be renewed. So, like, if you assume that they're renewed, you're much closer to that target line to a level that I would say is acceptable. But
hold on, that makes this a lot worse. Actually, that makes this a lot worse because knowing that. What I wondered was this dot goes out to 2030, right? Why didn't she just end it here? Because if you just ended it here, Biden looks really close. But if you extend it out, it looks super. I was like, okay, if this is just projected, then just leave it here. I mean, this is good politics here. Just use the chart to be misleading to benefit your guy. Once this isn't about honesty here, I'm just like, this is just about, good politicking. So just cut it off right here, and that makes a hell of a better chart. But I don't know. It's political malpractice.
So it is political malpractice, and I think it is this chart is a fucking Rorschach test. Like this chart, I saw this. I was like, this is so fucking beautiful, because Hillary Clinton, in the mindset of a Hillary Clinton, of the fucking like, in my mind, Hillary Clinton is the neoliberal poster boy. She is like the definition. And to someone like that, who's someone who thinks like that in this very binary sense, she looks at this chart and she goes, oh, look how much closer Biden is to the target than Trump. Clearly, this makes him look good relative to Trump, because that's all they care about, is relative to the opposition. Biden said it himself, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative, which is one of the most insidious fucking things I've ever heard, when you're also calling the alternative an evil person. Like it's insane. I don't understand how they hold both views, but whatever. Now, to us, this chart is, oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's brutal.
So goddamn far away from the target that clearly this is a bad chart for Biden. He's so much closer to Trump than he is to the target, which should be obviously bad.
This chart just screws we're all going to die. That's what the chart tells me when I look at it. It's like, what? This isn't.
Like, I don't want to be around 2050. That's what this chart is telling me.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, missed all the comments here, guys. What is
Let me dive in Andrews in my sleep at 46.
Let's see. Elite also never used globalist. It straight up means Jews. Yes, that one I was tracking from Ben. Not really into dudes. Hey, buddy, you gotta tell us. I mean, look, I don't care.
He's a 17-year-old boy. He has to clarify.
Yeah. CEO 202. What's a realistic worst case scenario in a second Trump term? How bad could it get?
God, John, what do you think? Your fucking company that you've been to 201 CEOs, and now you're the fucking 202nd CEO. What do you think? What do you think, TJ?
So, I don't think it could be. I don't think a second Trump term would be as bad as everyone says. I don't. I think it'll be terrible. I think it'll be just as bad as the last one. Honestly, that's what I think. And that was pretty bad, but I don't think Trump being elected will, bring an actual end to the American experiment. I think that the reason that Trump wasn't successful, one of the many reasons Trump wasn't actually successful with his attempted coup on January 6th, is that there were a lot of institutions in place that did not have loyalty to Trump. He tried to get the Joint Chiefs of Staff in on this. He tried to get the Secretary of the Army in on this, or the Secretary of Defense in on this. He tried to get the Vice President in on this. He tried to get the Department of Justice. He tried to get his Attorney General on it. Now, we could say, well, this time he'll just pick people who will do what he says. That's what he thought he was doing last time. That's what it wasn't like he picked these people and said, oh, these people aren't loyal to me. No, he thought they would be. And a lot of people. Then again, I guess you could argue that people that didn't actually think Trump was this crazy, which I get, because I remember he hired Mattis as his Secretary of Defense, I believe, at first. And then he had, was this John Kelly or Jim Kelly? I forget which one. Jim Kelly's the quarterback. So John Kelly, the general, to work on his staff. And they both quit. And they both put statements out years later saying Donald Trump is a fool. He's arrogant. He's stupid. I said, we knew this. How you needed to go work for Donald Trump to figure out that he was an arrogant moron, didn't know what he was doing. So I think maybe the list is shorter of people who would work for him. But when it comes to the institutions like the military and stuff, to actually back what he's doing, they're not going to. They're just not. I mean, we've seen that plenty of times. So I think that his destruction would be pretty bad, but I think we could recover from it. That's my guess.
So here's what I want to say about it. I think that we have to look at this in the terms of like a fucking bell graph. Is that what the bell curve? Yeah. So like in your 80% of possibilities, your 10th percentile to your 90th percentile, I think that I agree with you. I think that it will be worse. I think it'll be The more likely outcomes are worse than the first Trump presidency. I think that the realistic, I think this would probably happen in a worst case scenario. And when I say worst, I mean like of things that will probably happen. That you have Trump trying to do a lot of things, institutions fighting him, but he's going to be more successful at destroying those institutions in a second term where he has an intent to do so. I don't think, and here's the reason that I'm way more scared of a second Trump term than I was with the first. The first Trump term, my worst case scenario was, oh, well, he's just a fucking idiot who doesn't know what he's doing and like could start a war or whatever. And he didn't really do that. Like honestly, I think that the first Trump presidency went way better than my. What was that?
He tried to start a war.
He tried. That's what I'm saying. Like under my I think that like this could happen scenarios. It didn't. Like it was way better than I expected going into it. That being said, the problem is he always had like a fascist mindset, but he didn't have fascist intent until the end. Until it was written on the wall, and he was worried about losing the presidency and that the embarrassment that would come with it. Did he start laying the groundwork for what would become January 6th? And when he was doing that, we saw it coming. Like we were like, oh, he's preemptively denying the results of the election in order to try and have a fascist coup. Unfortunately, he's an idiot. He was really the only one, and maybe like some people in his inner circle, like a Rudy Giuliani, that was like orchestrating this. And so because Trump is an idiot and he only had 6 months to really put this together, it was a massive failure. But this time, the powers that be that would want a fascist takeover of America, they saw that. And they were like, hey, we might have our guy. We might have the guy that can, stop this massive wealth transfer that's going to happen over the next 20 years, that can stop if we just, as I've said many times, if we just continue straight forward on the path that we're on, we're going to get a lot more progressive a lot more quickly, because we're going to have a massive wealth transfer to millennials who are way more fucking progressive than their parents and even Gen X. And so that's needs to be prevented by a certain, group of people in this society who are extremely wealthy, extremely powerful. We also have the racial shit where we're not going to be a fucking white country by the end of my life, majority white country. And a lot of people want to stop that from happening. So a lot of those people who are actually competent and powerful and know how to do this thing, they saw what Trump did January 6th, and they're like, hey, maybe we should get behind this. And I don't know if they'll be successful. I don't think they will. I put them being successful in the outside of that, 80% bell curve. Yeah. But that 10% tail, it has a lot of scary things that it might be a 10% tail, but worst case scenario we're talking, I do think that the juice is there to make something really, really bad happen. And it is legitimate concern that I have. And honestly is you hear it every single fucking election of we need to stop the fucking Republican. It's the worst election. But I do genuinely say that for this election, of all the elections that I would be saying, hey, we need to support the neoliberal, it's this one. And I promise you, if this one's successful, Trump goes bye-bye, whatever, we have a normal fucking Republican next time, I won't fucking say that anymore. Yeah, I'll be like, you know what? You want to not vote for the Democrat? Go ahead. I see no problem with that. But in this one, it's different to me. Do you agree with that?
I've never seen that happen. I've never seen this happen. Well, not from individuals, I guess, but the narrative is always the same. Every single, you're not wrong. Every election, everyone says this is the biggest election of our life, and it's All right. I don't think it's incorrect though. I think the next election is always the biggest election. It's not an untrue statement, but I don't.
The stakes get higher every year. The progress of technology, climate, like all the things that we like, everything in the world, every chart, it's an exponential graph, and therefore,
exactly,
every election is going to be more important than the last.
And no one can possibly predict what the election environment is going to look like 4 years from now. It could be 100 times worse than now. So I would say I'm not disparaging what you're saying. You can say something, but I have heard this my entire life. It's like, this is the big election. Next election, we can, play around and shit. But this one's important. No, this is every election. This is every election. This always happens. And so I don't see that changing. I mean. And I don't know. We're running out of time here, but this is just like it's. That's the
thing. I don't know if I would have said this at the time because I was a very different person politically in 2016. But like, I look back on that election, I'm like, I can understand the argument. I can see taking the wild card gamble on Trump versus a known evil in Hillary. This one, I genuinely think there's a legitimate threat of endgame, and that's it needs to be avoided. I don't think that was the case with fucking Romney. I think if Romney had been elected instead of Obama, things would be marginally worse than they are now. And I thought that at the time, even as a fucking kid. But this one, I do genuinely. I think if Biden wins, it's not an important election. If Trump wins, it is.
That's a good way to put it. That is a good way to put it. When people voted for Trump in 2016. I said this at the time too, that look, I can kind of get people who voted for Trump in 2016. I mean, I guess
it's dumb. I think it's dumb, but there are certain logical reasonings that I can be like, whatever, you're dumb, but I get it.
Exactly. I can see if you were dumb enough that you're like and uninformed enough, and
or you just hate Hillary that much, like you really think she is the devil and will be the neoliberal fucking fascist that maybe she could have been. I don't necessarily think that. I think it would have been business as usual, but whatever.
Right. And also because I saw this chart today that showed people listed where they got their news. They got it from cable, they got it from newspapers, got it from the internet, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. And the bottom of the list was people who didn't watch any political news at all. And it asked all these people, which candidate are you more likely to support, Biden or Trump? For the people who didn't watch any political news at all, it was like 56-36 in favor of Trump. Like a solid majority of people said that they were going to support Trump that watched no news at all. So I believe that. I 100% the more you learn, the less likely you are to support Trump. So if you're one of those people, okay, fine. I get that you're supporting Trump, but now, I know. You after all this time, you still want to support Donald Trump. You're a fucking moron. You are a loser and a fool. And I have nothing to say to you. It's just that I don't. They say people, TJ, you saying you think Trump supporters are idiots? No, they're not all idiots. I'm not saying I think that. I'm saying I know that. I know they're all idiots. Like it is an absolute, rock solid guarantee that fervent Trump supporters are the most uninformed people you'll ever know. That's just what I want to say about that.
That's my problem, TJ, is that they're not all idiots. Most of them are. A handful of them know exactly what they're doing. And those people are highly intelligent, just in a malicious way.
So there are smart Trump supporters. There are some. They're pretty rare. I'll put it this way. So people who support Trump tacitly, they're like, I just hate the damn Democrats. And so they're like, okay, I'm just going to support Trump just out of, I'm a Republican, that's what I do. But the fervent Trump supporters, like the people who show up to the MAGA rallies, the guys that wear the red hats and they're just, beating their chest how much they love Trump, very few of them are smart. Yes, I guess correct. A couple of them are. They have to be, I suppose, just like...
at a certain level, they have to be. There's definitely some fucking redneck rocket scientist who hates the government but is really smart. Never went to college, but he could land something on the moon if he wanted to. That just despises the Democrats and the government and is like, let it all burn, and we're going with Trump. I can see that. I can see that happening. Yeah. That's a person I think is real.
Yeah, sociopaths exist. We have to make room for them too.
But I will say, TJ, for someone who doesn't watch any fucking news, doesn't like follow any of this at all, knows zero about politics, knows zero about policy, and is going purely based on vibes, I would actually give that person the benefit of the doubt and say I would vote for Trump if I was that person. Like, if you're just going, I'm comparing the 4 years under Trump to the 4 years under Biden, the pandemic crushed, like that last year Trump sucked, but you don't really blame Trump for that. You blame the fucking pandemic. And then Biden has had to do, it's the same fucking thing with Bush and Obama. Like, Bush created the fucking shit show, but that first 4 years under Obama wasn't pleasant times. It wasn't. And if you were like, hey, was it better from 2004 to 2008 than it was from 2008 to 2012? Yeah, it was. If I wasn't following anything, had no idea about what was going on, and I was voting purely based on how I felt during their presidency, I'd probably vote for Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, that's but fortunately these folks don't vote very often. That's the one saving grace. The chart did say that they were more likely to support Trump, but they were way less likely to vote. So we're good there. But yeah. All right. 7:31, time to wrap this bad boy up. Tomorrow we are being joined by Destructo Jugo, who I cannot wait. He's a fantastic guest. His name is Ate, and he's fantastic. So anything else we want to add to the good folks here, John?
Yeah, this is actually news to you as well, TJ. I'm talking the guest we were supposed to have the other week, the leftist lawyer. I'm trying to get an interview with her on Friday to like break down the Trump case. So that might be another juicy video we have. But I'll let you know about that and what time it might be if you want to join. But I think our audience might like that. What did Cunt Koresh just say? I read it and I was like, is that a real name? Wait.
Why haven't you fellas done the thing where they are going on a rant and you are not responding back or anything to you about the matter, but just instead they have just started a new drama about the scene? I don't know what this means.
I have no idea. They're watching a different live stream and they commented on this one. I have no idea where they're going on a rant. And you're not responding back or anything to you about the matter, but instead they have just started a new drama about the scene. We're about to discuss. I don't know how, your first name's Cunt. I don't know if I can take you seriously.
But and your last name's Koresh. I mean, like, what are we? This is
like that David's could be the only other that Koresh I just haven't heard before in a different, from a different culture. But like that I don't know. Tell us, explain what you just said while we discuss our topics for next week.
So next week I was thinking, there's a topic that Ate wanted to do that I think is gonna be really fun. He suggests, I don't know if you heard about this, but the new Captain America movie that's supposed to come out next year, they're filming. They originally wanted Sabra, which is an Israeli superhero, to be in there. Like has like the Star of David on and everything, and so that's kind of up in the air now, obviously. And so I think that's gonna be a really fun topic. I really like this
discussion of the politics of Marvel movies would be right up our fucking alley.
I know, right? Yeah. It's fantastic.
Fucking do it.
And I was thinking, we got to talk about the immigration thing, don't we? About Biden's immigration executive order. I feel like we kind of have to talk about that one. And I don't know if I feel like we talk about this every week, but the proposed ceasefire, do we want to, I know we had two other ones or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think enough has happened over the past week that we can keep talking about it all over again. What was it? There was one I wanted to talk about. What the fuck was it? The birth control bill would be an interesting one.
I don't know. That gave me, man, I got lightheaded there. Just take my money. Holy
so
shit.
Funny. Like, I was like on a different page. Just come back. You might be. Oh, well, now you're my. We only rank the people who have given us money, so you're.
Well, narrator's giving us more, so corrections.
Narrator.
Oh God.
Cunt,
Bro,
come back.
I literally got lightheaded. I laughed so hard. I almost passed. I was worried I would pass out. That was so fun. I don't. Kankaresh, hats off to you, sir or ma'am. That is, I love it. Just take my money.
And then Mark says, sorry, Sean saying he doesn't know what he's saying is bullshit. Can we quote him on that? Yeah, you can quote me. I have no idea what Cunton's doing. I have no. But we love you, Cunt. We love you. I love that we can just.
That's great. Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, fantastic.
Oh, great. Oh. So yeah, and then I was going to suggest the Senate GOP blocking the birth control access bill.
Oh, good one.
Could be a good fourth.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, all right, folks. We appreciate you joining us. We'll catch you all tomorrow. You guys have been great as always.